Welcome to the Man Up Podcast.
I'm Winston Wolfe. I solve problems.
A spiritual oasis for men. We're not pastors, just regular guys.
Put that coffee down. Coffee's for closers only.
So, for the uncommon man, created by equally uncommon men, this is Man Up.
This is our first event where we're doing live. I just want to give you, before we move over to our studio where we do our podcast, give you a little bit of history about us. About 10 years ago, I was leaving a men's only adult Bible fellowship. The leader was going to have a major surgery. And actually, Mike and I, we were leaving that particular class. And we had no place to go. And so I reached in my pocket, I grabbed a coin, I said, Mike, somebody's going to have to be a leader. And I got ready to flip it. He goes, Bill, I'm not a member. So it was kind of like a calling for me and with Mike's assistant to go ahead and start what turned out to be Man Up, because as I thought about it, I was going to have to man up myself. And so over the next couple of years, not only did we create something that was different than normal men's ministry. Typically, with any type of adult Bible fellowship, of course you can share prayer concerns, but the difference between having a men's only, men work hard to be awesome. And they study hard, they work hard, they want that promotion, they work hard when they're in business. They would need to be able to say it and to become leaders. And that's what we did. And so over the next couple of years, I was fortunate that I ran into these other four fellas, and each of them were on their own spiritual path. And so what we created was something that was a little bit more inclusive, because typical men's ministry are men that are coupled, but we want to invite men that are single, men that are divorced, men that are separated, men that are widowed, to have the opportunity to come in and fellowship together. But not only that, but to lead and to have the opportunity. After a few years of that, we found our stride and we got a momentum, and we thought, hey, let's start a podcast. And so we did. And we didn't expect anybody, really, I can speak maybe like for myself, to even be a part of it. And they even say statistically, if you get past 10 podcasts, you are far and above what other people do. Well, we're up to, this particular one that we're going to do is 212. And so with that, it seems like major growth happens to us in 4-year intervals. And this is the 4th year. And so that's what we're doing, is we're taking it one step further by doing a live podcast. So men's ministries that are different, men conferences, that's what we're going to do. We've often been called gritty, authentic, and unexpectedly funny. But now that we have you folks live here, so we can go ahead and add rowdy to it as well. So before we move back over to the table, I just want to go ahead and I want to introduce the fellows that we have here. Michael Cropper on the end, former prosecutor, of course an attorney. We call him the judge. He can defend you or throw the book at you. That's Michael Cropper on the end. Our producer is Mr. Steve Titch. He is a world-class policy writer. He's also a bit of a professional gambler. So we call him the gambler. That's Steve Titch, our producer. Kyle Trahan, he is a insurance broker. He's also a deacon, kind of service-oriented. He's from Louisiana, so don't hold that against him. But he's also a member of the group, Kyle Trahan. And of course, the person that was responsible for the music that we had, and I'm sure he'll have something to say about that, kind of the group theologian. He's a professional trainer for a Fortune 100 company and not one of those pansy Fortune 500 companies. Robert Koshu, he's the professor. And with that, my name is Bill Cox. I'm basically the director and just kind of a regular guy, but I try to keep these guys on task. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and start out with Professor Koshu. Quick introduction.
Thank you guys for coming. We really appreciate it, you being a part of it. One thing, so I hope everybody brought their phones. We're going to do a little fun polling at the end of the podcast and let you guys interact a little bit with us to kind of come up with something. So we'll have a little QR code so you can pull your phone out, hit your camera, grab that, and then kind of see where you fall in our little scenarios, which are really going to be fun because we thought them through a little bit and did some things with them. So
Excellent. Kyle Trahan.
On a second pad, this is really interesting and exciting for us, being so long at this now, 4 years. Really looking forward to being able to do it in front of people and seeing what you guys think. We do get interaction from our podcast and everything, and it'll be fun to see it live.
Excellent. Producer Steve Titch, who's put a lot of effort into this. Very nice.
Well, it's a great team we have here, so it's one of those things where you just got to push the stone and watch it roll down the mountain and hope it rolls in the direction you push it. But thank you for coming. We have a good podcast coming up. We're going to talk about David and Bathsheba and some of the hurdles or challenges men face this day in a hyper-sexualized world. Of course, nobody talks about sex in church, so that's why we chose to do this topic. We talk. We're not pastors, we're regular guys.
And Michael Cropper.
Hi, y'all. Glad to have you. Glad you're here. Hope you participate later, as Steve said. Phil was with us for a couple of years. When you came to this class, folks, Bill offered you the opportunity to teach the class immediately. And this is what's different. I came to the class when the other person left as director, and Bill always made me feel special, even when he was there. And if you know Bill, you know that Bill's a happy person and he's an encourager. And that brought me back to class. And when we talked about continuing, we didn't know any other thing else other than to study the scripture and then talk about how it affects our daily lives. And that's what we do in Man Up, and that's what makes this, I think this podcast and everything about it so great, is that we try to talk about what we do daily and how it applies to each of us. Bill?
Excellent. And we're getting ready to go ahead and move over to the studio set. And one of the reasons why Man Up is one of the fastest growing podcasts in the religious and spirituality category is the fact that it started out as a joke. No church answers. And because personally, I was tired of that. I wanted real answers that would help me with my life. We have the buzzers out there. No church answers stuck with us so much that we do use it as a slogan. No church answers to her. So when people give a church answer, they'll go ahead and they'll get buzzed with the buzzer. And sometimes, like you'll hear about this, especially since we're on video, there's going to be times when you're going to want to buzz yourself and give that church answer. But before we get ready to move back to the studio table for the podcast, I want a big round of applause for not only our techs, Natalie, Randy, but also for Pastor Davey Gibson. Thanks so much for the space. They like us and trust us so much, we didn't even have to put a damage deposit down. Thanks so much. And with that, we're going to take a quick break as we reposition and get back in the studio and start with the podcast.